Hi everyone! So I went to Morphe yesterday and I honestly wasn't planning on picking anything up, but then I saw that they had the new Jaclyn Hill palettes and I looked at them and I wasn't planning on picking this one up because I already have the Black Magic coming, and this is the Armed and Gorgeous palette, and I just thought that in real life this palette looks so stunning that I wanted to get it. I have played with it a few times now. I also created this look that you see on my eyes right now that I will show you afterwards, but I thought I would just get into this and kind of do some swatches. So the first thing that I noticed when swatching this palette and just touching the shadows in general is that they are extremely tightly packed into the pan. And I know that this was the problem with the first batch of these palettes, and I feel like I might have gotten a bad one, even though they said they had a new batch out and that all the new ones were, you know, trashed and destroyed and whatnot. But this feels and sounds and looks exactly like what I would imagine the first batch to be like. So I'm a little bit disappointed in that. I have tried these on my eyes quite a few times now. I played around with it last night. I created quite a few looks, just like for fun obviously, and I didn't take it too seriously. But what I did find was that a lot of the shades were kind of hard to blend. The pigment was there, but they performed better on a sticky base than on a set base. But the problem then was that on a sticky base they wouldn't blend, and on a set base they kind of just blended away. So I'm not sure how I feel about this palette yet. I'm going to give it another chance and I will show you how I created this look, and then I will do a final summary of my thoughts on this palette when we're done. So let's just get into the look. So first off, I'm going to start off by going in with Axis, which is the yellow shade, and I'm going to pop this in my crease. I've already primed. I primed with MAC Paint Pot and I set it with a nude eyeshadow. And I did find that these shades did apply a bit better when I didn't set my base, but I want to try this again and just kind of see how it goes. Because personally, I don't really like to work on a sticky base, so I want to try to make these colors work for me without having to do that every time. And so the pigmentation isn't bad. It's just that when you start layering different colors on top of each other, they kind of tend to muddy up a little bit, and sometimes it's hard to blend. So I'm gonna try to be careful to not do that too much. So I don't really know what I'm gonna call this video because it's not really a first impression since I have tried this palette already, but I suppose I could call this a review since I have pretty much tried all of the shades now. So maybe that's what I'll do. So I'm blowing out this yellow quite a bit because I want this to still show when I'm done with my look. So as you can see, this blended out really nicely. So next I'm going to go in with the green shade. It's called Top Secret, and I'll be using my Morphe M321 little fluffy brush, and I'll be just placing this in the outer corner of my eye. And what I found yesterday was that after I had placed down my shadow, I had a really hard time blending out the edges to really make it look blended. And I know this is probably the most basic look that absolutely everyone has already done with this palette, but I just want to show you guys how the colors perform, especially this green shade. So I'm running this through my crease, and I'm going to go back in with this fluffy brush and try to work on blending these edges out now. And I don't know if you can see, but I still have like quite a sharp stripe up here where I'm trying to blend and nothing is really happening, and everything it's kind of looking like it's muddying up a little bit. And also some of the color underneath is just like blending away. So I'm gonna go in with a little bit more. Just pat this in where I want it and then try to blend it out. Again, I'm having a little bit of a hard time right here. Like, it doesn't look terrible, but this is just taking forever to do. And I just feel like the quality of these shadows is not as good as the original Jaclyn Hill formula. And I know a lot of people have said the same thing, and I absolutely see where they're coming from. I have ordered the, I think it's called the Dark Magic palette as well, so I mean, I'll do a first impression with that one and see how that one performs. But this palette I kind of just picked up out of whim because I was at the Morphe store yesterday, not even expecting them to have anything, and they happened to have it left, and it just looks so pretty that I had to pick it up. And so I'm still blending, but now it appears that a lot of the color payoff down here has faded off because I've blended it away. And I still am not happy with how the transition between the green and the yellow is looking. So I'm going to go in with a little bit more of that yellow and try to blend out on top of the green. And I mean, it's getting there, but I usually don't have to work this hard to blend colors together. Which is a little bit disappointing because sometimes you don't want to spend 30 minutes blending out your eyeshadow. And just like right here, it's just like still a little bit harsh and I can't seem to get it to blend properly. So I think that's as good as I'm going to get it. I'm going to try to do the same thing on the other eye now. Alright, both eyes are looking even. Next I'm going to take that same yellow shade and just run it on my lower lash line. And I will say I like this yellow shade a lot. I think it's really pretty. For my lid shade, I'm going to dip into Coin, which is this gold shade up here. And I did spray my brush for this. And this shade is really pretty. This is probably my favorite shade in this palette after having tried them all. I thought it would be the green, but since the green is a little hard to work with, I'm gonna have to choose this one because this is stunning. I've had to dip into the palette so many times now just to pick up anything on my brush. I'm having a really hard time like getting any color payoff here. Like I'm really like digging my brush into it and I'm not picking up a lot at all. And it's very hardly pressed into the pan. So it's taken a while to build up this shadow. But I mean, once you get it on your eye, like it's really pretty. It just takes a little bit of work and a little bit of digging. And this shade reminds me a little bit of Electric from the Subculture palette, if you ever tried that one. It's one that you really have to dig your brush into many times to build up the shade, but once you get it on, like it is amazing. So next I'm just going back in with that yellow shade and I'm just running this over my crease again, just to try to make sure that everything is blended. And again, like I can't seem to just blend out this little harsh line up here, no matter how many times I go over it. So I think I just need to leave it alone. Just gonna do the same thing on the other eye. Normally I would go back in with that green shade again, but honestly I'm just scared that I'm going to mess up my look and that I won't be able to blend it out, so I'm going to just keep it the way it is. For my waterline, I'm going to use my NYX olive green pencil, and I feel that this one's going to go really well with the look. So I'm gonna go put on a little bit of lighter and mascara, and then I'll come back and I'll let you know what I think of this palette. Alright, so how do I feel about this palette now that I've tried it 3 times? I tried it 2 times on my eyes last night, 1 time today. Honestly, it's what I expected, but I had pretty low expectations just because of all the reviews that I had seen. So going into this, when I bought this, I knew there was a chance that it was going to be kind of shitty, and unfortunately that's what I experienced. They're not easy to work with, like shades in the Juvia's Place palettes that I really freaking love. Some of the mattes are okay, they blend pretty nicely, but just that green in particular, which I know is the reason why a lot of people buy this palette, that green is a pain in the ass, I'm not gonna lie. Like it's really hard to blend out, and personally, I'm just not impressed. I know Morphe can do better. I can tell that they had a hard time with the pressing of these shadows because two of the shimmers, especially these two here, are very tightly pressed in the pan. They're really hard to pick up on a brush, which means that obviously you get less pigment on the brush to put on your eyes. So would I recommend this palette? No. So unless you can be 100% sure, which obviously you can't, that you're getting the new repressed formula, then I would not recommend buying any of these palettes until they sort out like all the inconsistencies that they've been having with the pressing of these shadows. Like, I am sure if these were pressed in the same way that the original Jaclyn Hill palette are, that they would be amazing, but as of right now, I'm kind of disappointed in this. I kind of feel like it's a little bit of a waste of $15. I really wanted to like this palette, but as it stands, I don't think it's worth your money, and I probably would not buy it. So that's where I stand. I will keep using this palette. Obviously, if you want to see a 3 looks 1 palette, I will happily do so, even though it might be a little bit hard to get like the looks that I would like to out of this palette, but I will do my best to try and do that. I also do have the Black Magic palette coming, and I will make a video on that as soon as I get it and let you know my thoughts on it. But I mean, there's obviously so many videos already on these palettes, so which was why I didn't even know if I wanted to make a video on this. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know down below if you got any of these palettes and what you think of them, and maybe I just got a bad batch. I have no idea, but that's what I wanted to say on the subject. I hope you liked the video, and if you're new here, I hope you would consider subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.